Hey everybody, just a quick message from Bald and Bonkers Network. We would like to remind everybody that certain topics of discussion may not be comfortable for all listeners. Certain viewpoints may not reflect those of our partners, sponsors, affiliates, our hosts, or that of our guests. We would like to encourage everybody to keep a respectful and open climate of discussion for all topics, no matter how disturbing they may be. So viewer discretion is advised.
In life, you never know what crystals may just lie inside what you see. This is The Inner Court, featuring Smith Bible Paranormal Investigations. Uncover the gems deep inside the mysteries to see what you discover.
Hello, folks. I hope everybody is having a fantastic week. We are going to start with spooky stories of the Ouija board. I have 13 real, true stories from experiences of people that have played with the famous Ouija board. Don't say I didn't warn you. Hey, Sam. Any believer in the ghosts or supernatural will tell you the golden rule: don't play with a Ouija board. Hey, Ma. Opening an Ouija board, they say, is like opening a portal to the other side. Sure, it can connect you with a deceased grandparent, but more likely than not, it's bound to invite the unwanted spirits, the negative, into your mystery. And once the connection is open, it may be very difficult to close. No matter how much you'd like the pointer to land on goodbye. That's one theory, anyway. The more scientific explanation on how Ouija boards really work and the resulting creepy Ouija board stories is in psychological called the denominator effect. This is a study phenomenon in which our body is said to move accordingly to the subconscious will. So yes, will your big sister may be intentionally messing with you? There's also a possibility that she is actually guiding the tear shape without any realizing it, as in a spirit is moving her hands. Whichever you subscribe to, everyone loves freaky Ouija board stories when it is time for Halloween or a good old-fashioned slumber party. That's why as people read these, because they want a good spook. First one is Hex. Jason played with his Ouija board one day. With several friends, they asked questions, but instead of the piece moving to a certain letter, it began to move in a strange pattern. It went to all four corners of the board and then made an X. The 32-year-old New Jersey residents tell Reader Digest, then it just went in circles. The next time he used the board, it was with a different friend at his house. Again, the piece moved in the same strange pattern. I felt like it was some kind of hex. He continued later that night when he was sleeping. He felt the force forceful hand grab his arm and wake him up. Everyone else in the house was sound asleep. Looking for a less freaky into supernatural? Yeah, with the Ouija boards, no. The ghastly glitch. Abby, our next victim, was in her room one night after playing with the Ouija board earlier that day. As she was getting ready for bed, her computer screen changed from black to blue and then black again. It turned on by itself. She turned the computer off again. The computer clicked itself back to life. Anxious. Abby unplugged the computer completely, and then the unpowered computer started back up again on its own. She buried the Ouija board in her backyard that same night. If you don't particularly want a Ouija board story of your own. And there's also games. A solo play. So many people play with the Ouija boards in groups, or at least with one other person. But this young lady wanted to try to use it on her own. She put her hands on the pointer and asked questions, but nothing happened. She took her hands off the pointer and was about to put the game away when the pointer began to move around on its own. "I'll never try it again," said the 30-year-old from New Jersey. The open circle. When Vince, now 30, was a child, one of his friends gulled him into playing with the Ouija board in his basement. Young Vince didn't expect anything out of the ordinary to happen, so he went along with it. Once they started to play, however, the lights began to flicker. The air around them grew cold, and the spirits began to communicate with them through the board. The spirit spelled out a Russian name and claimed he had been murdered. "We took a break and made some pizza rolls," Vince said, "but we forgot to close the circle when we were done. If you're new to the Ouija board stories, that's a giant no-no." After returning to the basement, the energy was much heavier, and the books and the things were swirling out on the floor. And yet the board remained perfectly still in the center of the room, just how they have left it. Upon looking at the mirror that we had nearby, the eye on the Ouija board was moved specifically in its reflection. Very nice. Not nice, but a haunted housewarming. The first time I used an Ouija board, I was 6 or 7. That is young. And I was with my mom and my older sister, who was about 15 at the time. The page, now 24, tells Reader Digest. The family had just moved to a new house, much bigger and much older than the one they lived previously. And that night, Paige, her mother, and her sister were eating pizza in the living room floor since they didn't have any furniture set up yet. They put on a fire to ease the chill of the fall air. After dinner, her sister pushed her mom to let them play with their old Ouija board. As we were using it, Paige recounts the box in the living room that had some books in it literally fell over in the room. Shortly after that, the fire unexplainably went out, and their mother was so shaken that she took the girls to their grandmother's house to spend the night. If this story doesn't convince you to skip the Ouija board and opt on something else. Oh, summer camp scare. Ooh. Ouija board stories don't necessarily have to be involved with a professional packaged toy. As a child, Lamb was at summer camp one year when he and some other boys drew their own Ouija boards on a large sheet of paper. As soon as they started using it, he said, we heard knocking coming from inside one of the lockers. Yikes! Side note. Oh. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And there is a movie on this one. Blackout. There are times in all of our lives when we question if something is really a coincidence or if it is, in fact, just more meaningful. When Becca used a Ouija board during the first semester of college, she had one of those experiences. In a few minutes in, we lost power, she said. Some cars hit a pole on the street. The timing was strange, she said, at least. Oh, this is called a deadbeat dad. Owen started playing with the Ouija board when he was a child, and he has continued to experience paranormal phenomena ever since. My grandfather, on my dad's side, died before I was born, said the 24-year-old Ohio native. He and my dad were estranged, so my dad never spoke of him or had pictures of him around. One day, Owen began seeing and talking to a person he called Michael. Unknowing to him, Michael was his grandfather's name. Finally, my parents sat me down, showed me a picture of the man that I have never seen, and asked me if I knew who this was. I told him it was Michael, and that he was there with us right then. Looking for a close encounter of your own? Get a Ouija board. Flamethrower. These are some weird stories. Be warned, some Ouija board stories can be violent. When Anna, sorry ma, was in high school, she had a sleepover with a bunch of her friends. One of them, Brianna, wanted to use the Ouija board to contact her grandfather, who had recently passed away. The friends set up the Ouija board, turned off the lights, and lit a candle. They called upon the spirit of the grandfather, but when they did, the candle suddenly threw itself directly at Anna. Anna felt it was possibly not a spirit that they have called for. That one was probably something a little more. This is called a blast from the past. I saw a full body apparition. Glenn, a 29-year-old from PA, Pennsylvania, said of his experience with the Ouija board. An apparition he saw was not that of a young girl wearing what looked like a commoner's clothes from a antique era. He told the story to his neighbors, who happened to be historians, and they told him the little girl just looked like one he described, used to live in his house. The apparition ended up being a 10-year-old girl named Elisa, who died of tuberculosis sometime in the late 1800s. Let's see if this is. Sorry, guys, something popped up. I gotta go back. Sorry. Delayed reaction. One evening when she was in high school, Sherry, decided to use an Ouija board with her friends. Nothing seemed to happen, so they all gave up. What they would discover later was that the Ouija board actually did work. Weird stuff happened in the house ever since that night and to this day. It hasn't stopped, said the 29-year-old Idaho resident. We have had glasses move right off the table by themselves. I saw a spoon and a cup of coffee aggressively stir the cup without anyone being near it. The sound of footsteps leading from upstairs down to the living room entrance never stopped. So that was neat. So this one was hearing footsteps and voices, and it didn't show that they closed the portal. Dorm Hall Morgue. When Tommy was a freshman in college, he and his dorm mates took out a Ouija board and had a threatening encounter with some very dark spirits. The dorm hall used to be a morgue. Ah, that's weird. I don't know if I'd want to stay there, say the 25-year-old New Yorker. It was the perfect setting for a goof with friends, he thought, but they failed to realize how serious it could get. The pointer began to move on the board, and the spirits, communicating to them that 83 demons would come for them. The next thing you know, the dorm is haunted and the girls can't sleep because of stuff was turning on and off and messing with them. So they had a priest come in and bless the room. It was good afterwards, he added. That's why I don't mess with Ouija boards anymore. So why would they put a dorm with a morgue that used to be a morgue? Obviously, it's not now. But isn't that a little weird? I don't know. When heads roll. Randy learned what a Ouija board was the hard way when two of his family members introduced him to one when they were all children. My brother and cousins were older than me, say the 36-year-old Michigan resident. This particular time, they had come home with a Ouija board. We agreed to play, and it turned off the lights and we turned off the lights and lit a candle. Randy sat down with his favorite doll, Kelly at his side, nervously waiting in the dark. We started playing and asking questions, says, and before you knew it, the pointer started to move around in a pointing direction. It traveled the board, dragging itself to the letter K. It made its way to the E and the L, and for a moment it paused, then did a quick circle around back to the L. Before finally landing on Y, the next thing we knew, there was a loud bang against the radiator, and everyone started to scream. Randy recounts, we turned on the lights, and by the radiator was several heads of my favorite dolls. Creeped out yet? Nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know they were short stories. No, that's not what I wanted. There is a few more. I just have to go back and hit the links. Seven signs your house could be haunted, according to paranormal experts. These chilling signs suggest your house may have visitors from beyond the grave. All right, well, I'm waking something up here. Interesting night. Mystery signs and sounds. Clearly, we have a fantastic with haunted houses in our country by professionals. Ghost hunter Craig doesn't think most of them are scary. Instead, he says, I think they are trying to send us a message. I think so too. What is this? Oh, this is a newspaper. I don't want that. A substance that still manifests, even for the most seasoned of paranormal experts. Historic, it has been reported to show up during senses through a spiritual medium. Newkirk himself has experienced the phenomena of the real haunted houses. There was a house that I investigated several years ago where the families claimed that things were moving on their own, he says. And while I was there, I actually had a strange fluid show up. It dripped down my arm out of nowhere, and the family claimed that would happen all the time. It was like a strange kind of white, off-white, most like a raw egg kind of fluid. Ew. Ew. That is disgusting. Feeling watched? Thought feeling watched isn't a qualified factor. People who live in a genuine haunted house do report a lot of it. Many believe in a kind of a sixth sense. Basically, you might be in a house with a really bad vibe. Cold chills move through the room. Newkirk detailed it. and even just the feeling of being watched, sometimes whispers, or being awoke in the middle of the night because of the feeling that somebody's standing there. Whether there be a normal explanation for the sensation or a paranormal one is hard to know for sure, but it definitely the contribute factor for nearly any house and reflected by spirits. Unexplained movement. An object doesn't move on their own unless you live in an old drifty house where strong winds make doors open and close. Otherwise, there has to be some kind of force applied to get it moved. That's why we that's why you see things flying around in your house without a visible cause. You can't be pretty sure that there is something or someone other than you in the house. I've seen books thrown through the air by a invisible force. I have watched a grown man with a $2,500 camera in his hand drop the camera to the ground because something was strangling him. Newkirk recalls soaring objects are another staple of horror flicks, but unexplainable movement can be even more suspicious than that. Another well-known and television expert is psychic medium Patty Nugers. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, man. Personal change. When we think about possessions, your mind immediately goes to demons. Demons. Ghost hunter Newkirk says the more often than not, demonic possessions and even a demonic presence is not behind whatever it is you're experiencing. A normal ghost can possess you too. Yes, they can. The tip-off is if someone you know is acting extremely strange all of a sudden. We see cases of possessions or in reflect by a spirit, influenced by a spirit all the time, he says. If you start to notice someone has taken on a pretty distant personality change, that can be a sign. Very nice. Let me see. I already did that one. Yeah. Previous homeowners. If you're suspicious that you might have a haunted house on your hands, you should probably dig into the history of your property. Once I was in someone's condominium, psychic medium says, and this woman could not breathe in her room. She didn't have breathing issues, but in her bedroom, she just couldn't breathe. I found out that her room had caught on fire and a previous woman had died. Wow. If you could experience things you can't explain, do research. Might help clear it up for you. I hope is that one, you know what happened and what you're dealing with, You can then ease the haunting, however, some places just can't be cleared of the history. One house had everything going for it, from an Indian burial ground to being a drug house for years. Wow, that is a lot of history. Spooky! When I first went there, 7 people had already died, 1 in every room. I was seeing everywhere. I would clear it and then it would doze back up. So a lot of times you can't, or sometimes I'd say, physical and emotional disorientation. Most like curses in they're going for Harry Potter on this one. A haunting can have a terrible effect in your mood and even your physical state. It can leave you feeling angry or weak. Newkirk reports having this kind of experience while investigating a famous haunted Hinsdale house in New York. That's a place where it is a very extremely haunted. I have seen people actually investigate this, and they do not last all night. There's something about the place when you walk into it. It gets very, very confusing. Some of the things that we started to see in this place or hear in this place, including drumming and strange lights, was very disorienting. I noticed that my mood would change when we were in this building, and I would have to keep leaving regularly. So she couldn't handle that neither. 3 types of haunting, which a lot of us already know. If you guys pop in, please say hello. I don't know if it's this. Yeah, it must be. 3 types of haunting. Newkirk sorts hauntings into 3 categories: the intelligent, the residual, and intentional. There's a classic haunting, which is intelligent haunting. The spirits seem to interact very intelligently with people, and then the common one people run into is the residual haunting. An example of the residual haunting would be like the one she experienced at the condo that burned down and seemingly felt like it was filled with smoke. With that, it is a kind of play over and over and over. Kind of AC death. I'm reading all types of little spooky stories. So, yeah. Thank you. The residual haunting is kind of like the war. If you see a soldier, oh yeah, it's definitely the lighting. We have this ring light hubby bought me, so yeah, I know it's not me. So the residual haunting is kind of like a spirit repeating itself in the same path. A soldier walking across the same field, the same time every day. A spirit child playing with the same toy every day. A deceased loved one repeating the same thing every day. So, an intelligent, they already know that they're passed on. Excuse me. They are aware of their abilities, and they are aware that they can communicate with the living, and they like to have a little bit of fun. So sometimes it's a good thing on us, sometimes it's not. It depends. Depends on where you're at. It doesn't ever realize a knowledgeable that people live in the house. It just is. It just happens. Sometimes it's because the traumatizing event happened at a particular date. There's non-intelligent. I just heard another bang. Every time I read these every Tuesday since I started last week, I get weird activity happening. Oh, not intelligent is so really nothing you can do about it. Lastly, the intentional haunting is actually more about the living, breathing humans than ghosts. It really comes from people who have put so much energy and intention into the belief of their house or object is haunted that they have ended up actually manifesting a haunting. Think of kids who follow urban legends and routines and go visit the place that is supposed to be haunted. They feed the story so much that they actually open the place to paranormal activity. That makes sense. We already know what to do about that. So the next one, and we already know about that one, is what to do if your house is haunted. Well, if it is a haunting that is negative and is not safe, then you can bless the house. You can call on professionals to come in if you can't handle it. Sorry, guys. And if it does get worse, then you can call a priestess. If there is a portal, then the professionals can come in and close it. We have done several ourselves. Pretty much that. I mean, that is a pretty simple one to do, to call on what to do. So all I was doing today is reading people's experiences from a Ouija board. And there is a lot. There was, I think, 13, I said in the beginning. So it's just fun. It's something to read, to reach into people's spooky experiences. We may not think of that now, but I know some in the moment have thought, wow, that was really freaky. So I have been talking to my husband about the Ouija board. We will be doing a lot more studying before we even decide to touch one. Chad said he has never, and I repeat, never touched one. I did when I was younger, but I never played it. It was just one of those a friend brought over, and I said no. Because I already know they're not to be played with, or at least that's what I thought back then. Now, depending on what you do with them now, I guess it's a little different. So we're studying upon that, and if the case may be, maybe we'll take it on one of our investigations and see what happens. But that was pretty much it. If you guys have anything that you would like for me to read on a spooky story night, please let me know. I'm open to everything and anything. Hold on. Let's see. was looking at something. Maybe I would have read something else, but it doesn't look like it's something that I can read. This one is about Alabama, the state. 5 years after the Civil War, Birmingham, Alabama, was founded with the birth in 1871. Came to the need of tons of pig iron to fix the U.S. crumbling in fractions. The colonial. Let me read through this before we start reading some history, and I ain't prepared for it. That's what I get for just pulling things up, right? 2. The Crying Lady. Huh. The Bell Witch, Alabama, Tennessee. I might say this one for another day. I don't know. I do thank you guys for coming in and joining me for a spooky night. I know me reading isn't as spooky as hubby's spooky stories, but I do try. This one is how the Ouija board really works. You guys have any questions for me? Any suggestions for shows? Throw them out. We are always open to suggestions. We also do have our merch site here with new merchandise in it. So you guys can hit that and see the new Halloween shirts that we put up. Super fun to make. I give props to my little girl. She is actually going to profit from those shirts because it was all her idea. Thank you, C-Death. I love seeing you in the chats. So, yeah, my little girl, Rosie, she will get some type of profit off of them Halloween shirts that we have up. And the Halloween little glass candles that we have up there, because she saw those at the warehouse and thought that they would be kind of fun to do. So yeah, if you guys can go check that out, support. All that does is help us do more investigations, bigger places, film more. We do have by Monday, I think, a new video coming out. Where the Blair Witch was filmed. It is not where Blair Witch is. That is in Berkins. So that is interesting. If you guys have any other suggestions, please let me know. Yeah, I love the Blair Witch movie too. And I just recently found out that they filmed at this location and it's not even 25, 30 minutes away from me. And I love going here. Oh, yeah. So, and hubby and I are going Sunday to do, we started doing some pre-records and then we can do a little better. But in certain places, as you guys have realized as we get out investigating, that oh yeah. Tomorrow is hubby's birthday. Chad will turn the big 50 tomorrow, so wish him a happy birthday. My daughter Tiffany has planned an entire night of fun for him. So it starts at 7:30. So we will go from there. Yep, the big 50. So we will be having fun. I knew he'd be on here. That's why I'm not giving out details. He's not to know. Oh, thank you, Sam. Thank you so much. So this Friday is not definite, but we may have an investigation that we have been asked to join. So we will find that out more, I think, tomorrow in definite. And then Saturday is hubby's day to spend with the kiddos that are going to come over and hang out and play and whatever. To spend time for his birthday. And then Sunday will be a all-day investigation in 2 different places because I want to go back to the one during the day because there's something I want to check out. But yes, pretty cool. If you guys live in Maryland or live near Maryland or heard of Maryland or any of that and have some spooky places for us to go or any state, I mean, we have started traveling. That is why we do our merch show. I will be starting that back up after we get our office moved. Probably something paranormal. For what? I don't get it. So after we get this, because our office is moving again in the house, after we get it moved, I will have it all set up to the point we can do merch shows. Every penny that we get, yeah, one day, Ma. Every penny we get goes into our business account and gets us closer to our RV so we can travel further. We will start once we get our RV and we're able to travel all over. We will be living in our RV. So that way we can help more families out. But for right now, this is where we're at. See, that is our plan. Once we get our RV and we save up from the sales and stuff from our shop, Seamount Town. Yeah, we'll come to you. I know. I've seen that too, C Death. I've been watching a lot of videos where people turn buses and convert them. Little girl is excited to travel with us. So if we were to do something, that would be it. Head to Ken in Florida. Yeah, we would. That's the thing. We would be able to meet up with a lot of you and do meet and greets and investigations with you. That's why we have our shop to help with you guys and whatever merch you guys want. We have our spooky candles. We have our, just about everything. Only when you're dead. There is a face in the window. Bay, are you home? That's probably him. If not, I don't know. No. Yeah. Okay. I didn't think so. Mom said because whenever I start reading and do my shows, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but orbs will start to fly around and around my head and in front of me and all that. They want to be known, and it's just their way of saying hi. Or you'll hear little voices that are not mine, not my kids. So, yeah. So that is our goal in the near future, is to have an RV to come and investigate all over the U.S. And then maybe if we can do enough and start getting it out there, we can get it to the point where I can take the shop on the road with us and continue. We will, if we wind up Hey. Thank you for coming in. Austin, maybe? No, Austin's not home. He won't be home until after 9. So, yeah, when we wind up doing our RV and stuff, or get the van and convert it, the bus, whatever, we will have no matter what you do, little one loves to be with mommy and daddy all the way. Yes, she does. Yep. Again, whatever we decide, whatever we could save up from the sales of the support that we get and whatnot, then we will go from there and start another channel, or just do it on our Smith family channel and show you guys the progress and take you guys on the road with us. That was our main plan, is to take you guys on the road with us, to show you our life on the road and what we do. I mean, it would be super exciting to do that. So if you guys can go check out our merch, and again, within the next month, maybe I'll start my merch shows up again, and then we'll go from there. But it is getting late, and I got a little one to go feed. So I love you guys. I appreciate all the support, all of the love, as well as we love you guys. Stay safe, stay warm, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Sam has a show tomorrow here at 5. We have to do it early, so I can't help that. But I will see you guys tomorrow at 5. Until then, stay safe. Love you guys. Stay spooky.